Good evening. Continue with Unit 2 on Lesson 13 tonight. Divide 3-digit numbers by 1-digit numbers by an area model. 32 divided by 2. And we're going to start this by decompose the totals. Now, when we decompose the totals, we want to make sure that we can divide by 2 when we break it up. So if we take 32 and we want to get 2 to go into it, we're going to pull out a 20. There's 2 10s in 32. And then how much is left over? If we do 32 by 32 minus 20, we get a 12. Now we can divide by 2. 20 divided by 2 is 10, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. When we put these two quotients together, we're going to get the main quotient of 16. All right, let's continue on with some more examples. We have 36 divided by 2. So if we take 36 and we break it up, that total, so 2 can go into it, we're going to pull out a 20. Now 36 minus 20 is left with 16. All right, now we can divide. 2 goes into 20 10 times. 2 goes into 16 8 times. Our two little quotients here, and we get a big quotient of 18. So 36 divided by 2 is 18. We have 65 divided by 5. We got to find how many 5s can we get into that 65. Well, we can pull out 5 10s, which would be 50. 65 minus 50 would leave us with 15, which is great because both of those are divisible by 5. So 5 can go into 50 10 times. 5 can go into 15 3 times, and we get a quotient of 13. Okay, now on to something bigger. 176 divided by 8. So if we continue still with our method of breaking apart the totals, decomposing them, we can pull out in here. So we look at that 17, and then we can say that's not a 17, that is a 170, but we can divide by 8. So how many times can 8 go into that 17? 8 times what will give us close to that 17, that 170? Well, we can divide by, multiply by, we can go into 160. Okay, that's the closer we can get. When we subtract 160 from 176, we're going to get 16. Both of those numbers are divisible by 8. We can divide by 8. So 8 goes into 160. 8 goes into 16 2 times. Bring your 0. 8 can go into 16 twice. Add up our two numbers here, and we get 22. Now, if we wanted to make an area model of this, okay, we know that we're dividing by 8. We just don't know the numbers on the top. We know that if we're going to get as close as we can to 170, we want to go into 160. And then what's left over is 16, which would all equal this. All of this equals 176. So 8 goes into 160. Well, 8 goes into 16 twice. Bring your 0. 8 goes into 16 twice. So 20 plus 2 is 22. Two different ways of solving this division problem. Next one we have is 204 divided by 3. So now what we have to do is we're going to be able to show two ways. We're going to do the number bond, the breaking apart, decomposing the total, and then showing it by using an area model. So let's focus on this number right here. And we're going to divide by 3. So 3 can't go into 20. 3 times what would get us close to that 20? Well, it would be 18. right? But that's not really a 20, that's really just 20 tens, so that's 200. So we have to have 18 tens. That would give us 180. And when we subtract 180 from 204, we're left over with 24. Now this is perfect because both of those numbers we can divide by 3. They go in evenly. So 3 goes into 18 6 times and bring your 0. 3 goes into 24 8 times. 60 plus 8 is 68. All right, so we get a quotient of 68. But now if we do this with the area model way, okay, we're dividing by 3. We don't know the numbers on top, but we do know the number. If we break up 204, we need to break up 204. So 3 can go into it evenly. We look at that 20. 3 times what gives us close to that 20, that 20 tens? Well, it's 18 tens, which is 180. Left over, 204 minus 180, we're left over with 24. So now we can divide. 3 times what gives us 180? Well, 3 times 3 goes into 18, 6, you bring your 0. So 60 times 3 is 180. 3 times what gives us 24? Well, that's why we need to know our facts, is 8. We add up these two numbers and we get 68. Okay, our last example tonight is 238 divided by 7. So we're going to take 238 and we have to break that up. We're going to decompose our total. But we have to figure out, we're dividing by 7. So 7 goes into 23. Well, nothing times 7 gives us 23. The closest we can get is 21. But it's not 21, it's 21 tens, which is really 210. And when we subtract those two totals, we're left with 28. Now this is perfect because we can divide both of those numbers by 7. So 7 goes into 21 3 times with a 0. 7 can go into 28 4 times. So 30 plus 4 is 34. All right, now we're going to do the area model. Let's draw our rectangle. Set it up. Small side, big side. We're dividing by 7. We just don't know the tops. Now we need to say 7 can go into 23. So we have to say 23 tens is really 230. So we want to get as close as we can, which would give us 21 tens, which is really 210. And then how much is left over is 28 ones. So now we need to say is 7 times what gives us 21 tens, 200 tens, and that would give us 30. 7 times what will give us 28 ones, and that would be a 4. We add those up, we're going to get 34. Why did the triangle dislike having discussions with the circles? You have to solve the next 2 questions to find out. 406 divided by 7? Are you kidding me, Miss Moldietta? Well, bring in your work tomorrow and see if you can level up. Your last one before you can figure out the math riddle of this evening. 368, divided by 8. Bring in your work tomorrow to level up. Why did the triangle dislike having discussions with the circles? Because they're pointless. Good night.